The sun rises in the east and sets in the west. This seems like a fitting analogy for our changing world, except this assumes Asia's fortunes come at the expense of Europe and North America, and that's incorrect. Asia can be a competitor, but it can also be a customer. Asia may challenge the West, but it also will create endless opportunities. Asia will change your life in ways you've never dreamed possible. In fact, it's happening right now. This is Asia's time. This is Asia Rising. Demographics, economics, and the sheer weight of billions of people working and wanting more are reshaping the Asian continent. And it comes down to infrastructure. The United States and Europe were defined by the Industrial Revolution, and now Asia is going through an inspirational revolution, and the results are profound. I see this every day, new large-scale projects for ports or industrial estates. There are smart companies with massive plans for factories and forward-thinking governments working on new superhighways, airports, or roads. The continent is being reshaped in front of our eyes. A new pipeline here, a massive rail link there. Thousands of new airplanes means dozens of new airport projects, while growing residential communities require updated roads and sewers, mass transit, and retail developments. These are all part of the epic growth story of Asia. In the years ahead, trillions of dollars will remake a continent, change billions of people's lives, and alter the course of our world, all because of infrastructure.
By and large, the amount of infrastructure investment that has already occurred and is occurring is mind-boggling. That's why much of the growth even has been driven by infrastructure investment. You can see in many places in Asia the most advanced investments in infrastructure, transportation, rail systems, energy supply, and so forth. The demand is enormous for city improvement, for urban investments, and it's still going very, very strong. Will there be an end? It has been predicted by economists many times, but if you look at the huge number of people still living in poverty in rural areas, trying to find a better life in the cities, it's not difficult to foresee that this trend of urbanization and with it coming the infrastructure investment component will continue for a decade, if not two.
I guess the main issue is whether it's cost justifiable to build expensive infrastructure. It has a very long return, so therefore it typically requires a subsidy of some kind, and to the extent that's government funded debt that's not likely to be repaid or recovered in a short term, you've got questions about sustainability, how you're going to maintain these projects, who's going to pay the operating deficits, and on the front end, who's going to finance the capital. So I think these are big challenges. I think the idea of a high-speed rail link north to south through multiple countries is really just a dream. But certainly within economies that are very wealthy and have the capital to invest, they're very significant parts of the economic growth model. High-speed rail in China was one of the great industries in the infrastructure area in China until recently. But they're also building refineries and highways and bridges and pipelines and all sorts of infrastructure that again has a very long payout, but is important to the sustainability of the economy long term and the urbanization of these economies.
Definitely investment in infrastructure helps all sectors of the economy. Korea, I think, was able to do this amazing, progress in economic development, not only in the urban areas, but across the country. You have great infrastructure, even in the remotest village. But the reason why the economy could grow that fast and that spread all over the country was because very early stage a great importance was given to building roads and building high-speed trains and building infrastructure across the country. Of course, because Korea has a small territory, it was easier than it's in other places. And you have a very large population in a very small space, so to build infrastructure is relatively, compared to large space countries, easy. But definitely the political priority put on the building of the infrastructure has definitely helped Korea achieve this economic development in a very short time.
South Korea, again, is a trading state, and most of our industrial base is located in and around the capital, Seoul, which is the northern part of the peninsula in South Korea, right? And when we want to, export, and we have to ship them out. So what you have is a highway system linking Seoul and the Busan, which is a southern port city. And when when they're being shipped out, you need to have a great port, right? So that you need to have a bigger ship. So therefore, South Korea has really invested in heavy industry area as well as infrastructure. Therefore, South Korean construction industry is really strong. So in other words, we have this linkage of all the industrial component very strong, end up building stronger infrastructure. Our construction company go and build up Malaysian Kuala Lumpur Tower, Dubai towers, and so basically our infrastructure is a lot strong. Therefore, also contributing to building up more viable Southeast Asian economy.
Well, when I first came over to Asia in the early 90s, a lot of the business activity was focused on the Southeast Asian economies, the Tigers, and also Korea. But there was a lot of economic activity, primarily related to infrastructure investments in countries like Indonesia, Thailand, the Philippines. And again, Korea was a established economy then as well. But the Asian Tigers was the big story back in the early 90s. And that was a lot of foreign inbound investment, primarily in roads and bridges and refineries and mines. And that all ended very unhappily with the Asian financial crisis in 1997, 98. So we saw at that point Asia hit an inflection point between being primarily focused on the very rapid growth models of Southeast Asia to the emergence of China, which was just then getting ready to join the WTO and be more engaged in the global economic system. So many people bailed out on Southeast Asia and reoriented their resources toward China. And now we see, now that China's become a more expensive place to do business, a more mature market, that many of the rapid growth economy stories have shifted back to Southeast Asia. So economies like Vietnam, Myanmar present very compelling opportunities for business.
The politics of Myanmar are evolving. The former military regime has opened up. They've embraced the principles Aung San Suu Kyi has put out. So I think there's a general euphoria in terms of this is a country which is going to be changing. This is a country which is broken down. It doesn't have basic infrastructure. It doesn't have the basic transport networks. Its marketing systems are collapsed. Its exchange rate has been totally micromanaged, but allowed to be free now. There's a lot of people interested in coming in, but they don't find the rudimentary institutions to deal with. There is no legal regime. It's a potentially, however, extraordinarily rich country. So everybody thinks that they potentially could find a interesting and productive relationship with Myanmar, whether you are Japan or China, or even the neighbors, Thailand and Singapore. And I think Myanmar, at this point, I would say, is very open.
What is happening right now is we are more focused to well balance our situation in Myanmar. So we welcome all the West, whoever it may be, I think, to enter the country, to invest the country. Definitely American company, EU company, I think we have never seen before that a lot of EU leaders also visiting Myanmar. And a lot of Myanmar top leaders also visiting US, visiting the West. President Obama also came to Myanmar. So a lot of these Western activity has happening in Myanmar, definitely. So the cultural exchange, definitely it follows. So a lot of EU business group of people, American group of people is coming in and on and off all the time at this moment.
Myanmar and Laos are obviously two very late comers. We just launched the Global Compact in Myanmar just when the country started to open up. It's a very early day. The whole concept of private sector development, the basic infrastructure, intellectual property rights, then the enabling environment, incentives, tax systems, and so forth are not yet really up and running. So it's a huge challenge to work on all fronts at the same time. But I'm quite confident that if a commitment to long-term private sector-led development remains in place, that private sector growth will over time make an important contribution. All this obviously only works if the sound governments in power are indeed also prepared to build what we call the enabling environment that assures basic fairness, justice, independent judicial systems, incentives, and infrastructure.
We're also looking a lot at infrastructure issues. How can we help Burma build a good healthcare system? How can we help foster clean water, power in rural areas of the Philippines and Cambodia and Laos? And I've also seen a lot of American business interested in that. If you talk to the U.S. Chamber of Commerce here in Thailand, our new Chamber of Commerce in Laos or in Burma, they very much are interested in helping build schools, helping build capacity in all of those countries. I think it's a real opportunity. I think as the more developed parts of ASEAN continue to grow, that naturally spills over. You will see opportunities. It's a good influence, the connectivity, but it's important to all of us, and it's an opportunity we shouldn't miss to look at ways to improve the levels of education, the standard of infrastructure, the standard of health care, the environmental protection across all of the regions. And we're very engaged in that, both officially as a government, privately. My embassy, all our staff love the opportunity to work in communities that need help, need assistance, whether it's planting mangrove trees or helping work with communities that have been disadvantaged. And I think you're seeing it across Americans. You see a lot of NGOs working out here, American NGOs. You see American business, and you see a lot from other countries. Everyone realizes that in this century, we can't afford to have anyone left behind, and the need to help those who aren't quite there. And again, the connectivity of the world, I think in some of these countries where they're less advantaged, they're starting to know that. They're starting to see what others have and to want to be part of it. And I think we can help them achieve those goals.